What's going on, everybody? I'm Alfredo Brown here with the Football Guys, and I am here to tell you which players I think need to be in your lineup going into Week 4. And hey, don't forget, while you're here, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're asking all of your start-sit questions for the week in the comments below. I'll be sure to get back to each and every one of those before game time. Let's kick this off.
Perfect.
All right, the first player that I really like for your lineups this week, and it just kind of seems obvious, and it's Jamaal Williams, running back for the Detroit Lions. And listen, he's my RB7 this week, going up against the Seattle Seahawks defense. Seattle's 28th in fantasy points allowed to running backs. They're near the bottom of the league in run defense DVOA, yards per carry allowed to running back, and they just gave up a big game to Cordero Patterson, carved him up for 141 yards on the ground. Detroit is going to be without DeAndre Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown. That means they're going to need to turn to someone to be the playmaker in this offense. So not only does Jamaal Williams have a really good floor from the rushing and potential goal line ability, but now he's going to be worked into the passing game a little bit more. I know Craig Reynolds is going to get some work, but Jamaal Williams should be a top 10 running back this week. Next player I want to talk about here is Tyler Lockett, wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks. He's my wide receiver 23 on the week going up against Detroit. I know, it's weird. I've got two players in the same game. Seahawks, Lions, doesn't seem like it would be this great offensive matchup, but there's plenty of fantasy goodness to be had from this game, okay? Lions are 25th in fantasy points allowed to opposing wide receivers, and I know that recently Lions cornerback Jeff Okudah has actually been pretty good. He's been shutting down guys and really playing some powerful type old school cornerback football, getting up, manning up on players, pressing them against the line, but that lends a little bit more to DK Metcalf this week. He's going to be over there probably one-on-one going up against Alpha and Alpha mano y mano. But that means Tyler Lockett, perfect guy to be open. Tyler Lockett also running a lot of his routes from the slot. He'll be going up against Mike Hughes this week, and Mike Hughes not been very good. He's allowed the fourth most receiving yards from the slot position. Tyler Lockett's been there nearly 70% of the time this year, so I really do like Tyler Lockett this week. He's caught 21 of 25 targets on the season, back-to-back 9 reception games. Things are looking really good for Tyler Lockett despite this new change to Geno Smith. All right, my next player on this list is, well, a running back that I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to roll your eyes at, but it's Travis Etienne. I'm still all aboard the Travis Etienne train, especially considering the usage he's gotten each week. It is going up, okay? The Jaguars are facing the Philadelphia Eagles this week, and the Eagles are a 6.5 point favorite, okay? Now, I know what you're thinking. Etienne just hasn't been good enough to be in my lineup. Why am I all of a sudden starting him this week? Well, think about it. You drafted him here as an RB2 in your lineup, okay? RB2 probably has been already replaced in your starting lineup, but Travis Etienne, he gives you that opportunity where if you do need to start him, you can. He's also got some really good flex viability, and let me tell you why. Like I mentioned, the Eagles are 6.5 point favorites in a game where the Jaguars could be throwing a lot. Etienne hit a season high with 16 opportunities last week, and running backs are averaging nearly 9 targets per game against the Eagles so far. They've also allowed the 8th most receptions to running backs. We're talking about a defense that just gave up 6 receptions on 9 targets to J.D. McKissick, okay? And that was against the Commanders' offense that really couldn't do anything. Now we input a Jaguars offense that's been surprisingly good. Travis Etienne's been getting 60% of the running back targets. He's averaging nearly 3 receptions a game, 10 yards per catch, by the way. That 10 yards per catch, highest amongst running backs. So you could see an instance here where Travis Etienne is going for 5 or 6 catches, potentially something along the lines of 5 or 60 yards through the air, not to mention what he could do on the ground, okay? I know there's a lot of talk about James Robinson, but a big chunk of James Robinson's production have come on these breakaway runs, okay? 56% of his yardage have come from breakaway runs. So there is an avenue here where I think it's just very realistic that the Jaguars have to abandon the run. It's not going well. They need to continue passing. Okay, this is going to be the first time where we could see the Jaguars in a negative game script and be forced to pass, where they have been using Travis Etienne a whole lot more than James Robinson. I think this is the Travis Etienne breakout game that we have all been waiting for. All right, the last player on my list here is David Njoku, tight end for the Cleveland Browns. And listen, I think you got to be able to put him in your starting tight end spot this week, okay? First of all, tight end is just such a wasteland. And after what Njoku was able to do last week, we're talking about career highs in receptions, targets, and yards. He had a monstrous game against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday Night Football. I've got him ranked as the tight end 10 this week going up against the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are 31st in fantasy points allowed to the tight end, and they're giving up 20.4 PPR points per game to the tight end position. even if Harrison Bryant gets a little bit of work in there, you're talking about likely something where David Njoku is going to be able to give you 12 plus fantasy points from the tight end position. That's really all you need to be successful in fantasy football on a week-to-week basis. Now, a quote from Kevin Stefanski, the head coach of the Cleveland Browns this week. He talked about the coverages and game plans and how that's going to dictate the usage for David Njoku. So let's take a look at this game where they're going up against the Falcons. Then you got to think the Falcons actually are not bad against the run. Nick Chubb has been the heart and soul of this Browns offense, and you got to think they're going to put their efforts towards stopping that run with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Also, Falcons cornerback AJ Terrell likely to be paired up on Amari Cooper. Okay, so you've got a lot of the attention from this Falcons defense going to Amari Cooper, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt in that run game. That leaves David Njoku in a beautiful matchup where he's not going to be the first or second concern of the defense, and he's got a good matchup for fantasy tight ends. I really like David Njoku this game. Look for him to build off a great week before. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit the like and subscribe button. Drop your comments asking your questions for your start sit decisions this week, and go check out all of our rankings and articles for your start sit decisions on footballguys.com.